everybody, and welcome to Minute to Skim It. Got some really awesome books to review today. We're in the thick of the beginnings of some big, huge story arcs for both Marvel and DC. DCKO started a couple weeks ago. We've had a couple little tie-ins, but they're starting in full force this week. So a reminder to add all those DCKO tie-ins to your polls. Was I supposed to call you today? I don't know, Kyle. Were you? I don't remember. Maybe it was Steve. Maybe you're supposed to call Steve. And also for Marvel's Age of Revelation, there are a ton of just single shots that are the launches of new titles for the duration of the storyline, and they've all been terrific. And this week's were exceptionally wonderful. It's a time to join into reading, man. I'm telling you, I'm hearing industry-wide that we are seeing tons of new readers join in, new young readers that are hungry for storylines, that are not worried about printings or cover art. They are hungry for reading a good tale and getting into it and be able to talk to their friends about it and chat about it on social media. We're living in the best possible future of comic books right now. Kind of got a little funny there for a while when we got digital in and people were worried that digital is going to take down comic book reading, but this new generation has moved away from what I call experiential wants, and now they want to have physical things. So they are interested in having physical things, physical media, physical comic books. It was not Steve. Your brain itches. Oh, Kyle. We'll figure it out together. I'll think about it during the show. And no, you're not imagining things. I've got new glasses. I'm entering the new digital age. These are my Metas. So I should be able to stream live from my face anytime I like soon. I just got to get them all set up. So whenever I get new collections in, my idea is to go live and just broadcast it so you guys can see everything as it comes into the store, because I should be able to just turn it on by saying words and turn it back off again. So, and it's just right here in my glasses, so I don't have to turn things on. I don't have to edit. So it's very fun, and they're kind of cute. I don't know. I'm getting used to it because I'm so used to light colored ones, and now I'm wearing black like I'm some kind of, educator or something. So anyway, I'm going to educate you about what came out this week and what awesome comic books there are. I think I've got it to stick all on my brain. Maybe it's because my smarty glasses are going to help me out here. We'll see. Okay, this is what I was talking about. That there was a ton of really great tie-ins to DCKO. I did think it was really wonderful that I had a ton of people come and pick up DCKO because we kind of like handed it to most everybody as it came through when it was released and told them you really are going to want to have this. I know even if you're like reading only one title out of DC, it feels like everything is kind of getting taken over by the effects of what's going on here. So there are 3 titles that tie into DCKO this week. This is the first of them. This one deals mostly with Superman's, how he's dealing with trying to find out how to circumvent the problem that they're having. So cover up your ears if you don't want to know what happens in DCKO, the big reveal. I'm going to tell you right now. So the big reveal in that book was that Darkseid had already won. It did not matter what anybody did from here on out. Darkseid had already, everyone had gone forward in time. That was the big reveal when you see, Booster Gold and Soups. They've already seen the end. So they know what's going on. And it's been verified by a couple other characters. You saw them in Justice League Unlimited and another one where it's usually the Justice League Unlimited where they're talking in the Watchtower about with those characters specifically. So, and that continues on this week. Hey, Mr. Towers. So this one is kind of awesomely cool because he tries to get his dad in his little Fortress of Solitude to tell him what Krypton knows about either Darkseid or about a King Omega or any of those things. And all the answers he's getting out of the, like the AI or whatever that is his dad, is that is forbidden knowledge, that they have no knowledge of a dark side. They have no knowledge of a thing that they're allowed to talk about. And so it's like super crazy trying to figure out what is going on. And there's a couple other big, gigantic things that happen in this book, especially on the last page reveal. It's kind of interesting because they actually talk about last page reveal kind of in the breaking a fourth wall kind of thing. And not to be missed. All three of them are important, the tie-ins this week, but this one to me is the one that's the most tied and most important. So, and also, if you didn't know before, this Heart of Apocalypse thing is important because it was revealed in DCKO that long ago, because he can travel all through time, since Darkseid already won and all things are open to him as a god, is that he has long ago placed in the center of the earth the Heart of Apocalypse. So that is the source of his power. And the thing that they're all trying to do is they're trying to evacuate all of Earth so that they can restart the Heart of Apocalypse and then try to somebody that's a superhero try to become the Omega of this reality, this timeline, this Earth, by making a bunch of Omega energy by battles. So I know, right? It really was so rewarding to have people come the next week and be thankful that I handed it to them and that it was important and that it wasn't just it was definitely not a yearly Clash of Clans or, what's the Marvel version of it where they just all battle? It's not Battle World or any of those things. So it's totally important, this thing, and it's going to have, it's going to affect the whole universe going forward. So it's a good place to jump in. This is one of the other tie-ins. This one brings us, as it says in the subtitle there, the Terrific 10. This is the JL in the tower trying to figure out what they can do to get everybody off planet. It's a continuation of the seriousness that started in Titans last week, because that one was 100% focused on getting people off planet. The cool thing that's kind of like put out as a premise here is that I know what you're seeing up there. And yes, what they're explaining is that because all of time is kind of messed up now, and dimensionality and those kinds of things, is that we're seeing versions of our heroes that don't belong in one timeline together. Or so it's when you see that big the big tournament map, when they have like Batman on it, which from DCKO that Batman probably is not on that list, because of what happens, that now you can understand that there are many options for Batman that are out there. Which one's the Batman that's going to be important for the storyline? And so this is a lot of discussion about what happens if they are successful in their run for making an Omega. What happens to all the versions that are no longer necessary for the storyline or the whatever. So it'll be troll all the speculators with all the first appearances. I don't know. I think it's going to be someone we haven't really thought of. I think, honestly, truly, it's going to be someone that shows up midstream and is not part of the 32. That's just me. You've had his shield as your avatar since you were 17. Bring on Earth X Batman. I'm telling you, so many options. I'm so excited. It's a great time to be a nerd, y'all. And this one deals with very specifically, since the speedsters can actually speed through time, this is all of them kind of like getting mixed up, trying to run back to the beginning and seeing if they can get to before Darkseid actually became Omega, which is becoming impossible because Darkseid, because of who he is now as Omega, is in control of all time space. So he can allow them to do whatever they want and then just be like, sorry, little ant, you're failed. So it feels hopeful, but also it feels impossible. But this is a pretty pretty important issue also. But of the three this week, unless you're a Speedster fan, you don't really need this one, but it is awesome to see just how powerful Darkseid is. Oh, and one of the books this week drops that there is a counterpoint for Darkseid. That there's another character that's been part of the DC universe for a long time, super powerful one, that is kind of, what do I call it, like anti version. So that's in one of these three. You will want to have that information too. You can either have a really close friend, that's me, that'll spoil it for you if you don't have the money to buy them this week, or find someone to borrow a copy, or just go get it because you will be happy about reading them. So Skinbreaker, I had a lot of people come in this week looking for issue number 1, and I was really sad to tell them we've been sold out for quite a while. It's Mr. Brightside. Nope. And now I'm going to have that in my head as a hum curse. Thanks, Kyle. So Skinbreaker, if you didn't get to read the first issue, is really neat. This is Kirkman writing really good universe. Think if you liked the kind of like, here's a brand new race you've never met, probably on your own planet, like the feeling of Avatar. Skinbreakers like that. You meet these kind of like, to me, they look a little bit like ogre creatures, but this is all about a clan that in the last issue, the guy who is the current leader of the clan is getting a little bit older and losing some steps. And the way that their clan works is that if you get challenged as the chieftain, it is a battle to the death, and whoever wins gets to be the new chief. And there is another guy that's part of their race that is like, he became the chief, would be real horrible, just like not a great idea. So the chief really wants this other guy to battle him and take his place. The problem is this other guy doesn't want to do it. And this book deals with the whole, like, it's going to come to a head. Somebody's got to make the challenge at the end. He did actually make the challenge, but he's going to follow through with it. I don't know. And there's a lot of things that are part of their culture that are really kind of interesting. Like when they defeat a creature, like probably for food, there's something that they're supposed to do to it that's very violent, that also this new chieftain is not too keen about. He doesn't see it as important. And then, the other guy's trying to start trouble by saying that if you don't do this, then you're weak. So I think it's only a matter of time before this other guy, makes his own challenges, but feels like a very rich universe. I like this. It's very gritty. All the art is just like on the front cover. Sisterhood continues to be really good. We're at issue 4. If you missed any of them beforehand, this all ties into the Hyde universe, which is also part of the Ghost Machine universe. This is the dark side of the tale telling. And Sisterhood is about a girl who is in a sorority, and then something terrible happens to one of her sisters, and she dies. And then I think the sister basically takes over her body or joins her body in order to stay alive. In this one, the sister has done something terrible and gotten the alive portion, who didn't do anything, got her put in prison. And then there's some other big swappings that happen in this one. So if you like good spirit swaps, oops, I'm sorry, that's really loud. If you like good spirit swaps and spooks, this is good. The police, of course, are not going to ever believe her if she says, "Hey, I didn't do anything. It's the spirit that's like, embedded in me." You're like, "Sure, hun, that makes sense." So good, dark telling of tales. I'm not really sure how it's going to match into the main universe yet. I'm also not real sure how this is going to match into the main universe, although it very clearly does. Hornsby and Halo is a tale of two kiddos who somebody decides that they're like, let's play around with nature versus nurture. Let's take a demon girl and an angel boy, and let's put them in families that are completely opposite of the way that they are, their nature. So the angel boy is with just a despicable, deplorable family. It's the most horrible, rich, snooty people ever. And then the demon girl's part of the family is like super sweet and peachy and very nice. And so these two kids are friends, They know who each other are. They've seen each other's real forms. And so in this one, they all go to the city. One of them has a car breakdown. They go to the city, and the boy's parents are doing some kind of probably not above ground exchange for jewels or something as part of their business. And the girl's family is receiving a large sum for their charity, and then everything goes super sideways, just like it's designed to be. And you know that the supernatural realm has their fingers in it, so that's what's going on. Exquisite Corpses. This has been a super popular Image title. There are always lots of covers, and everybody that's into the series is trying to collect all of them. It's a interesting tale. Basically, there is a bunch of, like, think of them as mafia families or controlling families that have this big, I don't know how often it is, we'll say a regular battle amongst all of their, they have assassins that are they're known by. They send those assassins out to go battle to the death, and whoever wins, their family has control over the whole group. So I'm assuming it's not every year, because otherwise that would have a big gigantic body count, because there's people that accidentally end up in the way. And it's kind of cool because all of them have really neat names. You would probably like Exquisite Corpses if you like any kind of murdery things, and things like Twisted Metal, where there's like a kind of like they come across each other, and sometimes they get along and sometimes they don't-ness of it. And they have really kind of like crazy things, like one has like a fox mask. You saw that in the very beginning of the front one. So they're all wearing disguises. They're not just like people. And this one has a big story arc where there's a guy who has two young people. One of them's a very murdery kiddo, and the other one is just happens to be along for the ride and thinks that he's a good friend. And that gets super killy. So this is not for kids, not for the weak of heart. It's Tynion writing really great stuff, and it's continued to be super popular. So we're at issue 6 now, so probably the graphic novel should be dropping soon if it has not already. And it's a great read. I don't know who's going to win. It's coming to a head pretty soon. I'm sure it's got to be only a 12-issue series. There's no way they can keep continuing. Escape is something I have been really loving. Obviously, so if I'm reading all the way into issue 3, it is about this character here on the front. I think wartime tale, but all the characters are dog characters. So it's an anthropomorphic tale. This guy was part of a bombardier group who got shot down behind enemy lines. He was the only surviving member. And for the last 2 issues, he's been trying to find his way through all of the, like behind enemy line-ness of it and not get killed himself. And he's still trying to carry out his original mission. So he's got some C4, and he's trying to find the thing that he's supposed to blow up. And yeah, you really feel, because it's all first person from him, like not from his point of view, but you get to be with him as he's trying to get away. It's all narration blocks, and it feels very much like I'm trying to think of like what's the one where they're trying to find the one brother, and they've got a part where one of the guys goes up into this like 3rd story place, and he's like cowering in the corner, and someone else gets stabby while he's just sitting there because he's
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, that part just like really got to me, because I'm like going, you want him to do something, but you're also thinking that probably be me. I'd probably be the person that'd be like, I don't know what to do, and if I stay real quiet, maybe this will just end and I'll start my dream over. Yeah, that's the way this feels. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy. And it ends kind of at a good cool cliffhanger where he comes across somebody that I don't think he was expecting. So all right, Absolute Wonder Woman. We finished an arc in the last issue. where she got done being in the labyrinth. Everyone got away. Who knows where the other Amazon went? That was a big battle kind of thing at the end with all of her little like fish people. So now Wonder Woman is out spending more time with, like, she's got this little group of people that she's kind of hooked herself up to. One of them's Etta, just like you would expect from a Wonder Woman. Like, Etta Candy doesn't look like Etta Candy from her, what she looks like in the other series at all. Jay loves fish people. I know this. And also, I'm trying to remember who all the other people is, like, is it Selena? She's not Selena. Gosh, who are the other people that she hangs with? My brain's going to stop for me. But anyway, all the people that she hangs out with are just kind of like friends that are trying to help her. And they're actually trying to help her figure out there is a new kind of like being that is showing up. They look like giant pure energy. Like they are kind of almost, they look lightning-ish, but they have a human form. And everywhere they show up, she notices that it automatically makes her feel like to jump to the weapon instead of trying to do the talking out or trying to figuring out. And that's kind of like the Wonder Woman credo, right? Is like, I can't remember what the big long quote is. It's like, but it's like, there's a good quote that Wonder Woman uses about the escalation of violence. And then she just doesn't understand why all of a sudden, like, she just feels like she's being kind of like affected by whatever this thing is. And it's also affecting other people wherever this thing shows up. And she can't defeat it. She just can't figure out what's going on at all. The whole issue is kind of about her trying to figure out, what is this thing? Why does it affect everywhere it goes? And it does kind of give you this like cool cliffhanger. What is it at the end? I think I understand what they're trying to say that it is. And that's really cool if it is. I don't know how it happened. I want to go back and read all the issues now and say, when did this something happen that might have made this happen? I know that's really vague, but when you get to the end of the book, you'll be like, oh, I know what you're saying now. If you're reading other absolute things and are not reading Absolute Wonder Woman because you're like, I have never liked Wonder Woman, and you can't talk me into liking Wonder Woman. I am also you. I don't like Wonder Woman. I don't identify with her, but I like this Wonder Woman. She's really cool. So maybe try her out. You've got a whole graphic novel of 1 through 7 out there you can go grab and try it out. And then if it's still not your jam, it's not your jam. But I haven't had anybody bring it back that I've been like, you must read this book. I try not to force feed, but I sometimes do. Oh, Avatar Gap Year. Just imagine it's stuff that looks and feels exactly like the movies you've been watching. Humans coming and creating trouble. This one does kind of more focus on, so he has got 2 sons that he's trying to raise up so they can, help defend the people. But they also are trying to live up to this silly legend that he is, which is he's amazing. And humans are trying to figure out a way that they could be on the planet and not have to wear masks. There's a cool one in this that he actually knows the Nabatean language, which is kind of cool. And it's amazing to me, the art in this. Like the very first picture in it looks like they captured exactly the actors' faces and the coloration and the way their eyes look like they're kind of glowy. And I don't know, the art is like over the top beautiful in this. So if you're an Avatar fan, grab it up. It's kind of a great one for like just handing off to your kids and saying, look, I'm going to fool you into reading things because you understand these characters and you like these movies. So try this. Good collectible. All the Avatar books have always been like, what you're getting. It is straight out of the movie universe. So, and it's really pretty. All right, Little Nightmares, Descent to Nowhere. I will tell you, full stop. I'm not really 100% certain what I read because this has got two parts, two kind of like very different art styles that are happening in the book. So I feel like one of them is kind of like almost visions for what they're seeing. I'm gonna go back and see if I can remember there were a lot of spooky books this week, so I have to make sure I'm not mixing them up. But this is Lenny Nadler and Dennis Minhier. And there is a bunch of panels that look like a little girl with like an X over her mouth. Looks like she's imprisoned somewhere. It keeps flashing between that and this other group, this other person that she is having a difficulty. She's a police officer, but she's trying to quit. She's like depressed and she's got problems. And I think she meets this guy on a bridge. She like literally is there on the bridge to jump, but he comes across her there. And even though she's already thrown her badge into the water, he talks to her about not doing it, but instead entices her with, must be another police officer, honestly, entices her with a cold case that he knows that she might be interested in. But of course, you don't know if in the flashes that you're seeing, if that is the little girl is part of the cold case stuff. Is she having visions of what happened to that little girl? I don't know. It's really spooky and really, really cool. I know there is Dave on there. And Dave Lentz. So anyway, that one is trippy. I think it needs another read to really get it, to understand the back and forth between them. Like I didn't understand until getting to about 2/3 through the book that was what she was there on the bridge to do. I didn't understand that. I just thought maybe she was throwing stuff. But anyway, it's dark and perfect for the spooky season. Kenneth, hello. Outlaw Showdown has got a bunch of different stories in it. I read the first 2 or 3, and since this is also a spooky book, and I read them all in a row, I'm going to open it up so I can remember which story comes in which order. The first book is about a sheriff who comes across First Peoples group that has been killed by, I think, train robbers, who he's been also tracking. And he finds a little girl that has survived the attack. And so he... she only says one word, and he's not really sure what she's saying. Is she saying her name? Is she saying like what her parents' names are? He doesn't know. But you do find out in the story what she's actually saying, because they kind of like follow these outlaws, and they see something happen to them, which is really terrifying, as you should see in a cool EC book. Comeuppance are had. And then there's, this one's a crazy cool one. Okay, so the second story takes place in kind of a mining town, definitely in a mine. It's about a guy who is kind of like a supervisor of a group. And at the beginning of the book, he is talking to his crew. He goes up above ground, and then all of a sudden the mine blows up. And so the book then becomes like him having so much guilt about his crew dying that he spends his, like he comes up in the company, spends his extra money making sure that the widows don't pay for anything, and he seems like a really good guy. But there's something else that's going on, and it kind of like rolls that out toward the end of the story so that you know what is really going on. And of course, more comeuppance are had. And then there's a couple other stories that I did not get to read because it's a really long, thick book, but they do look really cool. One is called The Cure, and it features a snake oil salesman and Pony Express. And I could read that one. So I don't know. And then it also has at the very end of here, you get to have a story that is previously printed as Two-Fisted Tales number 20. That's by Harvey Kurtzman. So we get to have a freebie at the end of originally previously written, really good Western spook. Murder podcast, man. I'm telling you. Okay. I guess I can't talk about this book without having you cover up your ears if you didn't read number 1. This is cool. Ignition Press, Jeremy Hahn. So what's happened so far in number 1 is that it introduces a bunch of individual people and groups of people that you kind of like learn to like and understand their relationships with each other. It's a little bit a relationship book, like how people get along and who's been with who, what's going on. Come hang out with me, enjoy good wine, whatever. But in the story, they have a part where some of the people that you've gotten to know are listening to a podcast. And when it comes on, these individuals are listening to it, start saying what's happening out loud. And while they're doing that, they murder people. But they are not aware of what's going on at all. You can see that when after the podcast ends, they come back to themselves and are like, what just happened? And, it's happened to the people that are around them, which is terrible. So in this one, it kind of has a little bit of, it shows you some more of those, introduces more characters, it shows you some more of that stuff happening, which is, by the way, super brutal. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. If you don't like blood or guts, you will not like this book. But also it shows the aftermath of, there's one of the people that survived the first event, is now having interactions with more friends. So I don't know who's in charge, but it also, this one introduces what looks like a cult and some kind of culty initiation. So I think probably they're tied into what is going on. So there you go. Just guessing. And again, not for the faint of heart. And you can tell that from the cover, probably. All right. The Terminator Medal. I recently watched Terminator and Terminator 2. My husband's been on a kick for watching it, and I love them. They actually really do age very well. If you haven't watched those in a while, it's probably time for a good rewatching. I don't know about past number 2, if those are really great. I did like the more modern one that had them as older people. I like that one a lot. I know there's people that had a fuss about it, but whatever. Linda Hamilton will always be my girl. So in this one, it actually takes you forward to the time when the Terminators are already in full swing. They're the humans and they are at high battling. T2 is how you marry practical effects and CGI. Yeah, it is, Barlord. You got that right. It's perfect. I really love practical effects. My husband and I were talking about that the other day, that like horror is perfect because it almost always uses practical effects. And I think that's why it's so much more scary, that because it feels like it could be real, it makes it more real, right? So I think that's why Terminator was so good. It was like, man, that could be real. Other than like when you get to liquid metal teas, those kind of feel a little like whatever's, but the actual practical effect, like, Schwarzenegger versions of them, it was real on the set. Yeah. So something the actor could touch and be terrified by and have their hand put around their neck. You got it. Okay, so this one deals with characters we've never met before. They are just general warriors that are fighting the good fight as humans. One of them has taken a T800 and has reprogrammed it and named it Tex. And the rest of the humans that are not Tex's human don't really trust Tex, as you imagine. They don't understand the whole, like, why are you trusting this Terminator to have your back? And why are you calling it kind of your friend? Why are you defending it? And it's a really good start to yes, you can reprogram a thing, but does it really understand what you're asking of it? In the context of, if the goal is X, how far will it go to X? Are you in the way of X? Maybe. So yeah, this one is really great. I like the whole, what makes things humans, what would a robot need to have as information to be able to understand the value of human life. If you miss a semicolon in that coding, right? In the way of X sounds like a Marvel title. Yep, it does sound like a Marvel title. So many X titles. But yeah, that's the art is really cool. I like the design of Tex very much because he wears kind of like a duster coat. I don't know why he's wearing a duster, because it's clear that he's an actual Terminator. He's no way to hide that because his head's metal. So anyway, but anyway, it's cool. Who writes this thing? Oh, it's Declan. No wonder I liked it. It's Declan Shelby. Okay, I got to read 2 stories, I think, in Hello Halloween. So Hello Darkness has been this really awesome series that Boom has been doing, in which it allows creators a little short story place to go for spook stuff. They've had a ton of really great storylines, and if you ever want to read some good spook stories, just get any Hello Darkness. They don't tie together necessarily. I don't think the titles, like the stories, I don't think they jump from one to the next. They just are standalone stories. And so this is a standalone book within the standalone universe of Hello. So the first one is called The Graveyard Club, and it's by R.L. Stine from Goosebumps fame. And it is about this group of, I'm going to say young adults. I don't think they're teenagers, young adults who live obviously in a little town that doesn't have a lot going on. So they decide that they are going to have a party, and they're going to do it in the graveyard. And okay, so that sounds like a fun, spooky thing to do. But they also understand that, you know, it's the Day of the Undead kind of thing. And they're like, I don't know how this is going to, this sounds like we're courting disaster spook wise. And also it sounds like there is a police officer in town that they all know, they just call him Ray Ray. I think that's right, Ray Ray. Anyway, I'm going to say it's Ray Ray because that's what my brain remembers, who's a police officer, who one of their friends or parents does like actual like special effects stuff. So they make them a Ray Ray like decapitated head out of plasticine, so they can use it as part of their props or whatever for their event in the cemetery. And they want to do like a broadcast and make, put their town on the map. And they see it as all a good thing. They're not there to create trouble. They're not going to break laws other than like trespassing, I guess. And the problem is as they're setting up, Ray Ray shows up and kicks them out of the cemetery. So then starts the actual real spook of it all, in which zombies actually show up. So it's actually the undead. So that story turns into like super spooky. It feels a lot like Scooby-Doo in its mood and tone, I guess. There is a awesome story called I Can't Take You Anywhere. This is by Hack. And it is just kind of it is this couple, or maybe it's just the guy. I think the guy is just there. So the guy's shopping at an antique mall, and he picks out a Ouija board, except for it's just WEEGEE is what it's called, Ouija board. And out of the Ouija board, you can't hear it, and obviously this dude can't hear it, are these little narration blocks telling him, yes, you must take us home and free us from our prison, and we will create, blah, we will destroy all of the universe, whatever. And it's so great of a story. Like the whole thing is like him, picking it out, paying for it, going on the walk home, coming home and showing his significant other that he's found this thing. And then the last panel just kind of like is just so bloody. Because whatever the Shumagorath or whatever is in it thinks is going to happen is not what happens for them. Oh my gosh. And then there's some other stories that I did not get to read. That's Johnny Pumpkin Time, which looks super spooky as this guy with a pumpkin for a head. He looks super crazy. And then Megan Hutchinson's Sam Hain, which that one also looks spooky. There's like 3 or 4 more stories beyond this in here. And the art styles are all very different and very cool. So again, it's the right time to pick up this stuff for your spooky parties and get yourself in the mood. Okay, here we go. I feel like we skipped something. Ultimate Spider-Man, did I send that one to you? Or is it later? Aha, thank you. Oh, that's right, because I had them out of order when I was reading them. Aha, that's right. All right. There are 3 books that are tied to the Age of Revelation this week. And I know you guys, I told you at the beginning of the show that you might be feeling like you're going to be like, this is so much. I feel like I'm going to get burned out on it. But I will tell you, just like the DCKO stuff, because the universe is so big and overreaching and important, just like Powers of 10 and House of X stuff was whenever they were doing all the Krakoa era things, a lot of that stuff is still having big implications for the universe the way it is now. This one actually goes back and touches on a much older story, which is Age of Apocalypse, because Revelation is Apocalypse's son. And right now, Apocalypse is out on Racco. He's a Raconian, I guess is what they call him. Just kind of like, well, Revelation basically gives him a hard time about it. It's basically, he's just like retired or whatever. He's no longer relevant, and he's no longer going to listen to anything as I say. That's what you learn out of this book, that he really is. Like he gets sent a messenger straight from his father, who is telling him, I'm sorry, what you're doing is not in alignment with what I do. And so I'm going to have to ask you to step down, or I'm taken back over. And Revelation basically says, I'm going to give you 2 fingers, get you with 1. I'm actually surprised his fingers aren't out on this front cover, because that's the way he is. And also is this right? I'm going to make sure I'm going to do the right thing. Yes. So you find out a little bit more about his inner circle. So if you don't agree with him, he basically gives you this kind of like curse called Babel, which you don't know who you are. You basically become a little zombie, and you just kind of like sit and stare into space, and you don't know who anybody else is, and that's horrible. And he has other people that are very close to him. He's got the seraphim, and those are more like battle people that he sends out. And then his really inner circle are called chorals or something. I'm sorry that I don't know the actual name. Choristers. I think it's choristers. So in this one of them dies, and so he picks a new one, and then it's kind of like getting to know you, like this is what your new role is. You get to be next to power. You're just supposed to enact whatever Revelation wants. And there is kind of like a pecking order, because there is somebody who's been his closest and oldest chorister who really, with this new one, kind of basically says, I'm not going to help you out or anything. And I think if he had his way, all the rest of them would die, just so he could be close to the power and stay there. It doesn't feel like this guy has any like plans. He doesn't want to get rid of Revelation. He just wants to be the one guy. So this is a great book looking into the power structure that is close to Revelation. And also, you get to see a little bit more that there is a complete rift between Revelation and his father. I originally thought that, Apocalypse has sent him and be like, you rule over these people in the way that you would like. Spread your wings, son. And, if you need me, I'll be over here. But that it does not now seem to be what is happening. So this was a great, great look into what's going on. All right, Ultimate Spider-Man. This one pushes forward the timeline a little bit. In the last issue, you had a big event that happens. Cover your ears if you don't want to know. Looks like Gwen dies because she's been outed as Mysterio, and something really bad happens at the end. So this one is, it starts out kind of being like real, okay, let's have a family moment. So you see his son going to go get food and bring it back because they're all going to have like family meal together. Octavius is going to be there. You get to see him in his spider suit. As he says, I feel like I'm superior to the other ones. Ha ha. Because in the main universe, he's superior Spider-Man. So, so they gather everybody except for Harry doesn't want to go because he is still hurting because he doesn't have Gwen anymore. And it feels weird to get together with a family. But there is something else going on with Henry, like bad, because Harry's just like he's supposed to be. Like Peter's best guy. They go and fight crime together. So things are getting real wonky in that regard. So it is cool to see them all, like all the roles very clearly defined, because there's also Black Cat's in this. And I don't know if there's any new characters introduced. I think we've seen all of them before, but Ultimate Spider-Man, y'all. You guys' hearts aren't ready for what Hickman is doing in here. He's always got us just like, we think everything was perfectly fine, and then who knows what's happening next. All right. It took me probably a third of the way of this book to actually think I was going to like it at all, because they start to explain where in the timeline this is, because a lot of Age of Revelation happens 10 years in the future, and it's happened after Revelation has released this kind of like genetic bomb, a gene bomb, in which or a virus that basically, if you're human, most all the humans died unless they could there was some kind of mutation in them, and then they would mutate. But for a lot of superheroes that were somewhere in between or had some interestingness about their genes, some of them continue to mutate from where they were. And that's what happened with Spider-Man here. He actually is mutating further. And the problem is that a lot of the humans that had continuing mutations end up dying. So what you see here is his relationship with somebody that's not Mary Jane. It's obvious that is long ago. And that person is, I think, a scientist, and try to help him figure out a way to like make it through this without demising. But the other thing that's really crazy is that there is, they have kind of like this secret layer. I think it's like a science kind of lab that's buried deep below so no one can find them. And there's somebody else that's down there that they're also trying to control their mutation. And you get to see what happens when that person's mutation happens, or when it gets loose. And it is, Lordy Lord, help us. Even Pete's scared of what this is. So if you want to see new characters and want to have see Spider-Man in another form. He definitely has more arms than two. And it's cool. Hey, Eddie! And this is my favorite book this week. Hands down, my favorite book this week, because I was not prepared for what's going on here. Okay, so this is written by Tony Fleece. And he can write sweet potato stuff, like My Little Pony. And he writes super dark stuff, like Stray Dogs. Leans to the Stray Dogs end here. So this introduces this group of young kids that have omega level powers. They actually kind of like introduce each kid and tell you what kind of level of power they have, what their limitations are, which aren't many, and that they are being used to try to suss out any kind of resistance to revelation. So their purpose is to kind of like, and they're all psychic driven. So their purpose is like kind of like always be searching out to see if anybody is thinking about doing something, and or controlling their thought process in that regard. And I'm telling you right now, they're underestimating what they're up against. And I'm not talking about the kids. I'm saying they better watch their butts. I'm telling you, wow. Omega level people are uncontrollable, I would say, if you were not an omega level yourself. So this new team and these new characters, I think, are going to be real important coming forward. And pick this up. Just trust me. Just trust me that you're going to be like, what the hell? Man. Eddie!
Right. And the fact that Miss Jen just said what she just said should tell you to really pick this up.
Yeah. This is a great week. I thought this was going to be a real off week because there wasn't a bunch of #1 stuff. How standalone is this one? The only thing you need to know is the kind of like the background of what Age of Revelation is. Like, you need to know who Revelation is to know why he's using them the way he's using them. And other than that, nothing. You don't need to know anything. All right, Jay's got things to say. Go, Jay!
So everybody, I know as fans, sometimes we can't agree on comics, we can't agree on movies, but one thing we can agree on is that cancer is a horrible, horrible scourge in our existence. And the folks at Comic Curing Cancer, which is a 100% volunteer-driven initiative that unites the comic book community to fight this ultimate supervillain, well, they're kind of getting geared up this week. I'm going to post a link to the link tree where you can donate directly to the fund. You can check out what shows are coming on. There's a bunch of people behind this, y'all. Legion of Comics, Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics, DJ Links, our buddy Cake Pop Junkie's doing something. And tonight, keep 2 tabs open because kicking it off at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central on 9 Panel Grid's channel. Eric from 9 Panel Grid, Stu from Dr. Doom's Fan Club, and Nick from Comic Culture kicking off with their show that they're doing. Y'all, the warriors that have beat this disease, the ones that have lost the battle to the disease, and the ones that are currently fighting it, they need and deserve all the help we can give them. So even if you can't donate, if you can just share out this link, I would appreciate it. Man, this is a great thing that they're doing in this community. So if nothing else, stop by their channels and tell them what a great job they're doing. So that's all I wanted to say. Coming up next, we're going to have Welcome to Wonderland with Rich Davis. Then at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, we're going to be kicking it with Henri. And Miss Jen, you should be on the CBSN next. I believe. Yes. So a lot of good stuff tonight, folks. Thank you all for joining us, by the way. We always appreciate you. Make sure, see if you're subscribed still, because sometimes it kicks you off. And just remember, like, share, comment, and stick around to see what we got going on all this week.
Awesome. Thank you. Many digits strung together. It's so funny when people have digit names. I'm like, thanks. 878. I know it's the worst, Eddie. It is absolutely the worst. And I know that it's really great that we have way more ways to fight it now and way more ways to screen it. So this is, I'm going to say from my heart, having many family members and friends that have also dealt with this horrible disease, that getting diagnosed early is so key because there's so much that they can do early on that is later on much harder on your body. So if you can go and take your normal screenings for women, your normal screening, right? Your yearly screening. For guys, the ones that are very uncomfortable, just go do them. I mean, I know that none of the screenings are very fun, but they're way more fun than the actual disease itself. So do take the time to go do that, and encourage your friends to do so also. All right, everybody. I love y'all. Take care of each other and enjoy comics this week. I'll see you next week.